Thank you, everyone. I'm very thrilled to be here. And I'm going to talk about what I learned from a year-long art challenge. Let me share my screen. Everybody see that now? Yes. Okay, great. All right. So what I learned from a year-long art challenge. This is one of my favorite quotes from Camelot. And Ward, who's the young King Arthur, says, "What's the best thing for being sad?" And Merlin, the wizard, says, "The best thing for being sad is to learn something. It is the one thing that never fails." And I I agree with that. So what was the challenge? My challenge was to make one artist book per week for 1 year, 2024, and post it on social media, Instagram and Facebook. I've been a book artist for about 13 years. And so I've been doing this for a while, but I'm certainly not an expert. So, oh, and by the way, I'm not going to show you all the books. Don't worry. Here's some comments from fellow back members that were great. Margie said, "I was worried for a moment that you said one book a day." No, not one book a day. Promise. So what do we learn? I learned that trying some structures and techniques that I've been wanting to but never had was so satisfying, even if I had to make a few models to get the hang of it. For example, this fishbone from the book The Art of the Fold by Hetty Kyle and her daughter Ola Warkol. By the way, ish was my first word other than mama. Isn't that cool? So my question to you is, which structures or techniques have you been wanting to learn but haven't made the time to do so? I learned that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. For centuries, emerging artists studied the masters, every brushstroke, every pencil line, and often copied them. Not as counterfeiters, you understand, as students sitting at the master's feet. My masters include Keith Smith with this book from 1, 2, and 3 section sewing, and another one inspired by Keith, and one inspired by Sharon McCartney, who's definitely one of my heroes. I got to hold one of her books once. It was amazing. Sorry. Um, these are just a couple of the book artists whose work I admire. Which artist's work do you admire and want to take a deep dive into? I like to try things that scare me. At the end of the day, it's just paper, bookboard, cloth, glue, and thread. They'll make more. Here's a concertina book that I adapted from Heather Weston's book, Bookcraft. And I made it, as you can see by this slide, I made it look like an actual concertina. I tend to be a precise book finder, so this is my wheelhouse. This is what makes me happy. And here's a telescoping ziggurat, again from The Art of the Fold by Hetty Kyle. Fellow book artist Ro Goulitas gave me the box, and I created the ziggurat to fit. Isn't that fun? It just comes out. And I don't have any content on this, but you could. There's no reason why you couldn't have content. And here's a book in a box, book in a folding box from a workshop with the amazing Margot Class at the 2024 Focus on Book Arts Conference. It's not perfect, but it's darn good. By the way, I want to tackle the Jian Bao thread book next. What scares you? Make a promise to yourself to try it. I love that this book looks so boring until you open it all up. And then I made a small accordion book to go in it with hardcovers. And no, I didn't marble the paper. Someone else did, but dang, it's pretty. But the classics endure. And it's okay to make some books that I'd made before and were in my wheelhouse, like this journal with a soft leather cover. Which of your classics can you update or perfect? And it's also okay to make something simple but beautiful. I kept the scope of work commensurate with the amount of time available. I traveled a lot in 2024, and often I worked ahead or caught up after returning home. After all, this is supposed to be fun, not torturous. How can you stretch yourself without exhausting yourself? I learned that your friends can and should be your inspiration sometimes. My friend and fellow book artist, Will Carp, is colorblind. He's very open about that. He sees best in black and white and often makes books on that theme. I made this for him, complete with a double-sided title that relies on punctuation for meaning. Which of your friends deserve a book inspired by them? Will you see this? Will, you see this? I learned that your friends can and should be your inspirations. Oh, sorry, that I learned that your friends can and should be your collaborators, even if they don't know that you're going to be your collaborator. Some of you are probably aware of the amazing work of Madeline Durham, paste paper artist extraordinaire. This paste paper painting was one of Madeline's rejects, if you can believe it, and she gave it to me. I'd always wanted to make a dragon scale book, and here was the opportunity. Which of your artist or writer friends would make a good collaborator? And luckily she liked it. And if you don't know what a dragon scale book is, go on YouTube and Google it or look for it because it's very cool the way it opens and closes. I don't have a video of it right now. I learned to work on craftsmanship. There are all kinds of book artists. I tend to be the more orderly type, although I love the work of those who are more free-flowing and wild. This book has a circle fold cover, belly bands, and a Turkish map fold text block made from origami paper. My downfall is cased in books, which I've screwed up in front of a whole class of students, and I plan to perfect that technique soon. Which technique do you want to perfect? I also learned to fix the mistakes that I could. As Maya Angelou said, when you know better, you do better. I was tempted to leave the mistakes in the secret Belgian binding book, which I made in an online workshop with Anne Covell through back. In the end, I couldn't stand it, and I took out all the thread and sewed it properly. Here I'm circling my mistakes, more mistakes, better, better. Is there a book you'd like to redo, either by tearing it apart or making another? And I learned that sometimes I'll fail, and that's okay. Some of you might be familiar with the exquisite work of Valerie Shioden, shown here. This is my take on her work. I learned that you can't create a masterpiece like Valerie's in 1 week. Here's mine. It's fun, but when you see Valerie's, it's not the same. I learned that when you have to produce 52 of something in a year, you've got to be creative in achieving those numbers. It all counts. Attending an in-person workshop with Kit Davey, that book counts. This also was through that. Attending an in-person workshop with Cynthia Lee Spring, that book counts. Those of you who know Cin's work know that this is very much her. Attending an in-person workshop with Sean Sheehy, but you only made a non-glamorous model. Make the book your heart desires when you get back to your studio, and it counts. For those of you that don't know, Sean is known for both pop-ups and what he calls mechanicals. This is a book all filled with mechanicals. When you move this circle, the flying zephyr, I don't know, whatever it is, balloon goes around. So every single page moves. From years ago that you never finished, count. This was begun in an in-person workshop with Diane Reevely at Guadalupe's Fun Rubber Stamps. And it was really lovely, but I never finished it. So I said, well, this is a good time. How to finish book that needs a clamshell box? Make one and it counts. Yay! This marble paper is by Pamela Smith of Marble Smith. That was kind of fast. Let me show you that for a second. Not pretty? The paper, I mean. Experiment, experiment, experiment. This was from a workshop with Elsie Bosdahl Ellis, also one of our fabulous bag members who's here today. And I did a 2-day workshop with her where we just experimented like crazy. And it was a perfect invitation to experiment, frankly. Do you remember to just play in your studio sometimes? Had a nice comment from Elsie. I learned to use my family heritage. My family immigrated to the United States in 1951, so I was born here, but I spoke with an English accent until I entered kindergarten. For the exhibit Ritual at Baylor University in 2024, I made this small book shaped like a teacup. It's about the ritual of English tea time. The idea was good, the execution not so much. It looks very amateurish. The book was not accepted into the exhibit, but I'm so glad I made it. Which parts of your heritage would make good content or structure? Use your failures, I learned, as fodder for new books. I took an in-person workshop with bag member Sage Graham on reductive relief printing. This is one of the best of the many prints that I pulled. Most of them were a lot worse than this. As they say, when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. I cut up some prints and created an accordion book with a slipcase, again for the ritual exhibit, and this time I was accepted. And it's now part of the Baylor University collection. Can you go through some of your so-called failures and find a phoenix in the ashes? So I made a little slipcase for this. This is one side. This is another side. You can use your pain. Yes, you can use your pain, believe it or not. I tripped while gardening and broke my 5th metatarsal. That's the little toe's long bone. The doctor sent me the digital x-rays, which I printed both as negative and positive and turned into a book. By the way, the break is right there. I created the cover from a real x-ray from 1987 when I fell off my motorcycle and broke my left scapula. What physical or emotional pain can you turn into a book? You might find it healing. Social media friends are also good for accountability. These happen to all be people I know in real life, even if some of them I haven't seen in years. Their comments kept me going when I wanted to give up. I also asked questions to get more comments. I wish I'd done more of that. So I had 2 books and, Suey said purple and so did Nicole. Purple. I learned to buy the best tools I could afford. I was tired of limping along with my old color inkjet printer and was able to gather the funds to buy this Epson EcoTank 8550. I recommend it highly. There's an 8.5 by 11 version that is less expensive, and I think it's sold at Sam's Club. If you don't need to print large. Which tools in your studio could use a refresh? It might not be something as expensive as a large format color printer, but for example, Japanese screw punches. Don't buy the cheap ones. Get a nicer one. Finally, I learned that if you set your sights on making something every week, you may not reach your goal, but you will have created more than you did in the last year. In 2024, I made 45 artist books. In 2025, I plan to make 12 altered books, one per month, so give myself a little more space, but I only made a few, unfortunately. I did make other books. And in 2026, my artistic challenges are going to be in these topics, and there's a lot of them because I am multi-craftual, as I believe many of you are. Book arts, painting, photography, machine knitting, hand knitting, weaving, and quilting. And yes, all of those things eventually get incorporated into books, including knitting. Please follow me on Instagram. I'm on Instagram as Julie R. Filatoff. I also post videos on there, so you can see some of my artist books in action, like the one I did in Sean Sheehy's class, and some of the ones I've done with Kit Dating. My portfolio website is juliefilatoff.com, and if you go to JiRaFstudio.com, you can get free digital downloads. And I'm not great about posting there very often, but when I do, it's worthwhile. So thank you so much. And now I will stand for any questions.
Julie, I grabbed some screenshots so I could remember some of the ones you did, but if we write to you, can you give us some info on a couple of the books, how you did them? I've got a project coming up that I have to do for class.
I'd be thrilled, sure.
Julie,
Yes,
this
ma'am.
is Marina. I have a question about your scheduling of your work life. Do you work when you're inspired? Do you have certain hours? Are you a morning person? Do you work late at night? I'm curious about that.
Those are great questions, Marina. I I thought that when I retired 3 years ago, I would have a set schedule that on this day I would knit, on this day I would do book arts, and and it didn't turn out that way. In part because I had to jump into teaching book arts at Santa Fe Community College to keep the seat warm for Rogulitas. Um, but even now, I try to go with how I feel about things. In terms of being a night out, no, I am nothing like you. I am usually up by 3 or 4 in the morning. Bag member and Libro's president, Susan Wright, knows that she can always text me at 5 or 6 o'clock, and she won't bother me because I'm up. I've already been up for hours. So yeah. Other questions? Okay, well, thank you. I'm going to put this on when we finally get this recording. I will put it on the BAG YouTube channel. Yes, we have a YouTube channel. If you go to the BAG website, you can find it.
Randy, you were unmuted. Did you have a question?
I did. I was going to ask if I really love that double box stitch leather journal that you had. I was wondering if you're going to be selling any of those, or those are just kept as your display for your work.
Okay, is that the brown leather one?
Yeah, the brown leather one.
Yeah, I did already sell that, unfortunately, but if I make any more, Randy, I'll let you know.
Please do.
Or even better, I'll make you come over and I'll help you make one.
Even better. Thank you.
Julie, Helen has unmuted, so.
Yes, Julie, I absolutely love that presentation. I so much enjoyed the joy that you take in your own work. I mean, so many people are afraid to just be exuberant about what they do, and they denigrate their work or themselves. And here you are modeling for us how wonderful it is to just take so much pleasure in what you do. And even if you make mistakes, and even if you need to fix something up, and I just loved also that part of your demonstration, and it was great. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Helen. Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with making mistakes. It's how we learn. And like with the Valerie Shioden book, that's the one that was very curly and colorful and very detailed. I do want to make one of those books one day, but I don't want to have to try to get it done in a week. So that's, yeah, and that's something to look forward to and to strive toward. Yes, thank you.